Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the drum corps Iceberg. I made this Iceberg along with a few other corps alumni, and I just want to say a few things about the Iceberg before we get started. First, I ordered the Iceberg as well as I could based off of what a person outside of the drum corps sphere would know about drum corps. So for a lot of us, especially those involved in the activity, there may be some stuff that's a little bit lower that's like, oh, that's obvious, everybody would know that, but it's really something that is probably insider information of somebody that's actually marched drum corps rather than somebody that's viewing from the outside perspective. So that's kind of just the way that I went about organizing the Iceberg. And then secondly, obviously the Iceberg is not all inclusive. There's so many things in terms of the history of drum corps and terms and a lot of that kind of stuff that is not included. And that's because I would like to make this a little bit of a series where I do icebergs every once in a while with a bunch of different terms and events that have happened throughout drum corps history, and then do a video on each of those icebergs. So today we're just going to be talking about the stuff that is on this drum corps iceberg. Let's get started. Starting off, we have the tip of the iceberg. First, DCI. Pretty easy. That's Drum Corps International. That is the organization of all of the drum corps involved with it that runs tour and holds finals in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium at the end of every year. Blue. Blue is the nickname for the Blue Coats. Fans are known to shout blue to cheer for the corps. And for a lot of people, the kind of motto is they're not booing, they're bluing. Crown B flat major chord. Crown B flat major chord is a joke about how Crown constantly is playing B flat major chords throughout their shows. Here's a little snippet of that. And you could also watch Sforzando's video here and see Crown play B flat major chords throughout their shows for nearly 5 minutes straight. Caption award figures. Caption award figures are significant figures and people in the drum corps activity who have caption awards named after them. Those people are Don Angelica, Fred Sanford, John Brazzali, George Zingali, who I have done a video on, which you should go check out, and Jim Ott. Victory Run. The Victory Run is a final run-through performed by the winning corps at the end of the night at DCI Finals. This usually happens after the finals retreat where all of the scores are announced, where all of the other corps will leave the field so that the winning corps can perform a final run-through of their show at the end of the night. That is usually the last thing that occurs on finals night. There have been instances of corps performing victory runs at the end of every show that they've won, but nowadays that only happens at the end of finals night. Steve Rondinero. Steve Rondinero is well known for hosting DCI broadcasts since the late 70s.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Arrowhead Stadium. This place is electric.
He was inducted into DCI's Hall of Fame in 2013 for his incredible work as an instructor, co-director, and host. Brent Crocker. Brent Crocker is well known for being the person announcing corps at DCI Finals due to his distinct voice and the way he announces certain corps.
Drum Corps International is proud to present Carolina Crown.
Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is a gas station brand in Texas known for being the largest gas station in the world. It is a popular stop for drum corps members due to its size, food, and branding. Bandos/tots. Bandos are the term given to overzealous high school-aged drum corps fans. Typically, this nickname comes with the understanding that they have never marched drum corps before and like to give opinions that many refer to as tot takes. My high school scored higher. This is a quote heard by many bandos who believe that because their high school scored a higher number at a marching band competition, that it makes them better and comparable to the drum corps that have similar numbers in DCI.
Above the surface.
Corps traditions. Grouping together acronyms, songs, and alumni memorabilia, these are all corps traditions that each corps has unique to the other drum corps. Acronyms could be like SPLUI from the Cavaliers, or For Holy Name Shall Always Be to the Cadets, and memorabilia represents corps necklaces, jackets, and other stuff. Hornline wake-ups. This is a tradition that many corps share where some members of the hornline will wake up before the other members of the entire drum corps, and then they'll perform a song to wake up the corps. Typically, the song that's played is a corps song or song important to the corps, or maybe some show songs. And usually the hornline wake up only occurs on significant days on tour, like regionals or prelim, semis, and finals. Dot or die. This is a term used by those who march dot cores, where they give the idea that you either hit your dot or you've hit nothing at all. You can learn more about this in the dot versus form video where I discuss different drill philosophies. Christmas in July. This is an event that usually happens with individual sections with the goal of building camaraderie. Members will buy presents for each other and play games like White Elephant or Secret Santa.
Christmas in July. We're excited. We're gonna have an awesome day at rehearsal and we're gonna open some gifts. Let's go.
3DS videos. This is a meme popularized in 2023 where people would record shows, lots, or even headcams with the 3DS camera and microphone. The reason that this is funny is because the 3DS notably has a very poor camera and microphone, so there's a lot of pixelation and microphone peaking that happens in these videos. The Rock. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was the executive producer of a show called Clash of the Corps, which was a reality TV show focused on the Blue Devils and Cadets as they competed throughout the 2016 season. It had very poor ratings and was not renewed for a second season. Troopers Slow Walk. The Troopers have a tradition for their drum major to walk on to retreat. This can be notably seen in the 2023 drum major retreat, where the drum majors walked onto the field to retrieve their scores. As you can see, the Troopers drum major is walking extremely slowly to get to his position on the field. DCA. DCA is the acronym for Drum Corps Associates. It is an organization commonly known for having no age restrictions like its younger cousin, DCI. However, the organization was recently absorbed by DCI and is now becoming DCI All Age Class. McNutt. Colin McNutt is a significant percussion instructor and writer in drum corps. But McNutt in this case refers to the rhythm that is commonly played by lines that he has taught or written for. Straight leg versus bent leg. This refers to the two popular marching techniques used by drum corps. You can see more about the details in both techniques on my video in that. Beneath the surface. Is your band ready? In 2018, Brant Crocker mistakenly said, "Is your band ready?" instead of "Is your corps ready?" in his announcement of Pacific Crest for their 2018 show.
Drum majors Andrew Fresquez, Andrew Barone, Andrea Nordahl. Your band, is your corps ready? The corps is ready. Performing their 2018
VK at retreat. The Velvet Knights are known as the Fun Corps and often had shows that could only be described as a parody on classic drum corps shows. This term on the Iceberg, though, refers to a retreat in 1982 where the Blue Devils assisted the Velvet Knights drum majors in setting up on the field. NFL Hall of Fame halftime show. During the 2019 season, the Bluecoats were asked to perform for the NFL Hall of Fame halftime show. They performed small snippets of their show, The Bluecoats, and the event served as a great opportunity for DCI to receive free advertising during the season. Implying We Can Discuss Drum Corps was a Facebook group for members currently marching. If I remember correctly, the page started in 2016 and lasted until 2020. The page was eventually deleted due to political arguments constantly occurring on the Facebook page regarding the 2020 political election. However, in its heyday, it was known for being a great meme page for current members, and allowed members from different corps to meet and become friends with each other. I do hope that today's members kind of restart this kind of idea of a Facebook page so that they can get together and have the kinds of memes regarding their season as we did. Tim Snyder enters the battle. This refers to a fight that Tim Snyder, a brass caption head, had with a security guard outside the Lucas Oil exit area. Allegedly, the guard asked Tim and his performers to move out of the zone they were standing in, and an argument ensued where the security guard initiated a fight. The video was memed quite a bit, and there was one meme that styled Tim Snyder as a character entering Smash Bros. Ultimate. Unfortunately, I was not able to find that specific edit, but in the original video, you can clearly see the security guard initiating the fight by attempting to elbow Tim Snyder in the face and then put him in a chokehold. However, Tim Snyder swiftly and easily ended the confrontation with a few good hooks. Rose Bowl having a bad field. There are many shows and fields on tour that are just abysmal, but the reason that I mentioned the Rose Bowl specifically is because it was the site of the 2007 DCI finals. There were a variety of issues with the field logistically, but biggest of those being the paint. The paint was quickly fading from the field throughout the day, and when cadets were about to walk on, they refused until it was repainted, which earned them a penalty that was later rescinded. The first DCI World Champion. In 1972, during the first ever DCI finals, the Anaheim Kingsmen took home the championship with a score of 88.1. Notably, the two other medalists were the Blue Stars in second place and Santa Clara Vanguard in third. Undie runs. Undie runs are a term for a full run-through with members exclusively wearing underwear. This is not something that happens nowadays, but it was a somewhat weird tradition that happened pre-2015-ish. VFW and the American Legion. The VFW, or Veterans of Foreign Wars, and the American Legion were the two organizations that predominantly held drum corps competitions in the pre-DCI era. In these competitions, you would see many things involved with a score, from uniform inspections to parades. Corps, many times, would see very little money raised in participating in these competitions, and although the politics and story behind the organization of modern drum corps is a little bit more detailed, in short, the drawbacks of the VFW and American Legion led drum corps to form DCI. I'll also mention CYO, as I forgot to place them on the Iceberg, and they should be included as well. The Catholic Youth Organization also sponsored many corps and hosted their own competitions. They still host competitions sometimes, and they are now included in DCI's tour. G bugles versus B flat horns. When DCI was first formed, the bugle in the key of G was the only brass instrument allowed on the field, typically with a single valve. Eventually, this would evolve into 2 and 3 valve bugles, but the horns would largely remain the same. In 1999, a rule passed that allowed for any bell front horn in any key with the exception of sousaphones and trombones. The ruling caused much debate in the community because many corps opted to go with the horns pitched in the key of B flat rather than the conical G bugles. To this day, some believe that the allowing of B flat horns killed drum corps. Deep waters. The first three-peat. While many attribute DCI's first ever three-peat to the cadets, that is actually not the case. In reality, the St. Ignatius Girls from Hicksville, New York were the first corps to ever three-peat, winning championships in 1975, 1976, and 1977. St. Ignatius was an all-female corps that competed in DCI's all-girl division, in which they won their 3 straight championships. I don't support DCI. I don't support DCI as a Facebook group where they discuss why they don't like DCI. These criticisms typically range from hating props, G-bugles, uniforms, drill, and many other things. However, most of the criticism can be summed up to one quote: "It was better when I marched." Most posts are complaints about modern DCI, old shows with comments like "this is real drum corps," to even discussing if it would be possible to legally force corps to stop using the drum and bugle corps moniker. Teal Sound folding mid-season. In 2012, after the Centerville, Ohio show, Teal Sound's board of directors made the decision to end the touring season for the corps. Largely due to financial reasons, the leadership decided that they could not effectively and safely provide a good touring experience for its members. The next day, the corps began a trip back to its base of operations in Florida to end its season. The event is remembered due to the financial issues that even the largest and most established corps deal with today, and hopefully we don't see similar events happen mid-season in the future. Corps stealing from each other. Drum corps members are all for some reason a bunch of kleptomaniacs. On tour, it's not uncommon to see members stealing things like bathroom signs, weird random things from high schools, or corps relics. This habit is discouraged by core admin and leadership. However, it's a weird thing that happens every single season. Sometimes core relics are held hostage by other core members and are only released through the payment of food or Gatorade. Weird boxes. Sometimes drum corps shows have really weird boxes. One really prominent example is the box at RCC, being not just off-center, but literally on the 35-yard line. I think another and newer example would be the Georgia State Stadium, with not only a really weird and unclear box, but also a weird stadium in general. The stadium was actually an old baseball field used by the Atlanta Braves for 20 years. I definitely did not like performing at the venue, as it was really disorienting to be on the field and see a baseball stadium for the stands. Multi-core pillow fight. In 2019, at one housing site, it housed not one, not two, but 5 drum corps in the same place. At this site, the members plan to host a massive pillow fight through the Implying Facebook page. Later that night, members from all of the corps met up to host their pillow fight. However, during the fight, one member was seriously injured and the fight was abruptly ended. Junior Tech. Junior Tech is the term used to insult someone who has a habit of giving unsolicited comments to other members regarding their performance, despite that person themselves being a member. Typically, the nickname is not earned off of one specific event, but a constant spew of unsolicited advice. Many times, the member in question is not all that great themselves. The Allentown Box. The Allentown Box is different from the other weird boxes that we previously mentioned because it's known for being a relatively high box. However, many in the community joke and over-exaggerate as to how high the box really is. While the box itself is not that high, the proximity from the box to the field leads members to have their horns pointed higher than normal to reach it, which is why jokes and comments are made so frequently. National Anthem. Many core members memorize the national anthem and sing it, sometimes in the showers or just randomly. My guess is that because the song and lyrics are so well known to nearly every member of every corps, it becomes a good choice for a group of people to sing. Either way, it's typically done as a joke or a way to hype members up. Tick. The Tick system was a judging system used by VFW and the American Legion, as well as DCI during their first years as an organization.
For those of you at home, we realize it's difficult to spot some of the subtle errors that we mark down on the field. So we've arranged a little demonstration, and we're going to show you some errors that even you can spot at home. One of the most common errors is interval, that is, the spacing between people. As the blue stars move forward, one of the members moves to her left. I've marked that as a spacing error. It will be penalized 1/10 of a point.
In this system, judges would take note of the visible mistakes and errors on the field and lower the corps' scores effectively from 100. After the tick system ended, the phrase tick was still used to make reference to any kind of error that a member made. In addition, members who were known for constantly making errors were sometimes referred to as a tick. All meanings and uses of the word in the context of drum corps originate from the tick system. Sean Nagpal. Sean Nagpal was a hornline member of the cadets, as well as an implying celebrity, if that's what you would call it. There really wasn't anything specific related to the meme, but anytime his face was posted anywhere, you would find a multitude of comments with the words Sean Nagpal. To drum corps members at the time, the meme was quite well known, but to the outside member, they would have no idea why these things were occurring. The Midnight Zone. The Pioneer Files. Pioneer was a world-class drum and bugle corps which was last active in 2018. The Pioneer Files was a Reddit post made by a member in 2018 where they described the massive issues and events that they had suffered as a member of Pioneer Drum and Bugle Corps. In the thread, other Pioneer members also came out to talk about their horrible experiences with Pioneer. Since then, whistleblowers have made multiple reports to the law as well as DCI, and Pioneer's membership was revoked. While Pioneer has been eligible to reapply for DCI membership since 2020, they have made no public effort to make their administrative changes that DCI has requested of them. RAMD. RAMD is an acronym for Recreation, Arts, Marching, and Drum Corps. It was a Usenet group used largely during the 90s and early 2000s. It is largely known for having no moderation, so many users would get into heated debates with each other over random differences in opinion. While much of RAMD is not worth reading due to the nature of discussion, sometimes it is interesting to read about the online discussions held on older topics. Probably most notably, the discussions held during the transition from the era of G bugles to B-flat horns. Warming up in someone's front yard. Warm-up zones at show sites can be pretty bad, but there have been numerous occasions where corps were forced to warm up in people's front yards. Usually, all parties are okay with it, but there have been some times where homeowners take issue. For example, in 2019, the Bluecoats battery was kicked out of somewhere where they were warming up for a show, because they were under the impression that the land they were warming up was a part of the show site. However, it was actually somebody's front yard. Blast. Blast was a Broadway production which is formed from the Star of Indiana Drum and Bugle Corps. After leaving DCI in 1993, the staff and membership of Star of Indiana reformed themselves as Blast. In 1999, the group premiered at Hammersmith Apollo and went on to do multiple shows on Broadway, as well as go on tours nationally and later internationally. The performances consisted of music written for brass instruments, but in many different genres. The last Blast tour was in 2019, where they toured Japan performing Disney music. The group has since been inactive, but it proved that while DCI in its current state may not be that popular, but it can be morphed into something that can reach commercial success. BD-89 solo fail. The Blue Devils' 1989 program had a ballad in which two trumpet screamers played while the corps backed them in an accompaniment to the song If We Were in Love. However, on finals night, there were some large fracks heard from one specific screamer. While there are rumors that drug use was involved in the build-up to the event, they are largely unfounded. In the end, everyone makes mistakes, and it sucks that this one happened to be on the night to the end of the season. No blue, no coats. This is a quote that originated from a comment on a post related to the Bluecoats. The full quote being, "No blue, no coats, just woke progressive crap." While originally the comment was made about the fact that despite being called the Bluecoats, the Corps no longer traditionally wears blue coats, it has since become a joke to mimic the haters of modern DCI. Swamp water. Swamp water is the term used to refer to the water typically gotten in the South during swamp tour. These are states with the most humidity, and the tour usually lasts from post-Texas till corps start traveling to the East Coast past South Carolina. If you didn't know, most food trucks have hoses meant to filter out the tap water from the water system of a school into something that's a lot more drinkable for members. However, on swamp tour, sometimes the water can be beyond saving. Swamp water is characterized by its distinct color ranging from green, yellow, to even brown. I advise members to purchase a couple gallons of water before making it to swamp tour so that they avoid having to drink swamp water if it becomes the only option for water on tour. The plague. The plague is a term given to any sickness that breaks out during a tour. Usually this refers to some type of stomach bug, but it can mean any large outbreak of sickness. Due to the close quarters living style on tour, these illnesses spread quickly, and corps usually have a hard time restricting the spread. Many times, these illnesses spread from one corps to another, and when this happens, the sickness will be named after the corps it originated from. For example, the Academy Plague of 2018. System Blue. System Blue was a line of instruments designed and predominantly used by the Blue Devils. While older models were produced in partnership with King, the more recent models were produced by a Chinese company called Jinbao. In relation to brass instruments, the brand is known somewhat infamously in the activity for its lack of quality in terms of sound, feel, and physical sturdiness. While some corps still use System Blue instruments, many corps have moved away from the brand, including the Blue Devils hornlinemen themselves. Due to the poor reputation held by the brand, many in the activity refer to it as System Poo. The brand has since been discontinued. BAC. BAC is the Boston Crusaders. However, the acronym has two different meanings. First, as the Boston Area Crusaders, due to the fact that the corps originates from the Boston area, and second, the Badass Crusaders. The nickname comes from the Corps' reputation for getting into fights back in the day, as the Corps then consisted of kids largely from the inner city, rather than the more polished musicians that fill the Corps today. While the stories and fights that caused the Corps to earn the name may be embarrassing to the leadership and admin, the nickname gives its members and alumni a sense of pride. The G7. The G7 was the name given to the top 7 cores by George Hopkins, when in 2010 he tried to unionize them in order to maneuver a better deal for those specific cores in funding with DCI. However, the problem was that only those specific 7 cores would benefit from the change. Largely, the idea of the G7 was dismissed, and some cores were seemingly embarrassed to be involved in the whole debacle in the first place. The only thing that really came from the G7 was the creation of the Tour of Championships shows, where only the big cores in DCI were invited, and the G7 themselves were otherwise dissolved in 2013. There's a lot more that goes into the story, and I do have a video where I describe the G7, and you can also watch that one after this video. Getting hashed. Drum corps perform on a variety of fields as they go on tour, from high school fields to college and pro level fields. Getting hashed refers to the act of missing the hash because you confused it for a hash that may not exist on that field. One extremely notable example is the Boston Crusaders' performance in Allentown in 2022, where several members confused the high school hash for where the college one should be. The term is not used super commonly, but I think it's interesting that there is such a specific term for such a specific event. Happiness. Gold Drum Corps had a show in 2019 titled Pursuit of Happiness. During the show, the Corps had specific props with letters on them that would spell out the word happiness. However, after Gold's performance at DCI semifinals, someone photoshopped the props to switch the I and the E to spell the word penis. The picture briefly fooled some fans into believing that that was what was actually spelled on the field that night due to there being no visible signs of Photoshop. The Abyssal Plain. Forest City, Iowa. Forest City, Iowa is the city that the Blue Stars typically hold their spring training in. Throughout their time spent there, a resident of the city made numerous complaints about them being there. A Change.org petition was created, however, it only received a measly 87 supporters. The petition reads, "I live in the green apartments across from the football fields. I enjoy living there, and my roommate and I pay about $1,000 to live there every month. Forest City is quite a peaceful town until the Blue Stars showed up. They are both loud and obnoxious. They treat the town like their playground and are completely oblivious to the people who live and work here. They practice till at least 10:30 and are back at it again at the crack of dawn, yelling, screaming, and playing their music. They run around half naked, the boys being the worst offenders, wearing no shirts and shorts being rolled up into what can only be described as diaper-like. Not to mention, they leave garbage all over town. I thought to myself, hopefully it's over soon, only to go on their page and see that they would be here for the better part of a month. The least they could do is be quiet from 6 to 6. Join me in voicing our concerns and keeping the people and the peace of Forest City together." While the petition didn't reach much traction, there was a newscast about the Blue Stars' temporary residents creating noise complaints in the city about 3 years prior.
Each year, the snares and trumpets sound in Forest City as the Blue Stars Drum and Bugle Corps hold their spring training.
It lasts about 3 weeks on Waldorf University's campus, and towards the end, the competitive band puts on a free show for the community.
But as KIMT News 3's Katie Hinker reports, some say it's just not worth the noise.
Bring back lot fights. This is a joke made by current members making reference to the history of physical fights occurring during lot warm-ups at shows. It's another joke made in reference to the idea that drum corps back in the day were superior. Obviously, members don't actually want to bring back lot fights, but it is a joke that's made somewhat often. Bus wars. Bus wars has several different meanings. This can be a war from the front of the bus to the back of the bus, wars between buses of the same corps, and wars between corps on the road. Generally, the game becomes something similar to Capture the Flag, where items are stolen between buses. The game does happen at multiple corps, but the rules are always different and change from season to season. Jesu Spectre. Jesu Spectre is the online individual known for heavily opinionated views on drum corps design. Their YouTube channel gained heavy popularity for viral videos of clouds shaped like religious figures, but also has posts about drill design narrated by text-to-voice generators. Their Reddit account consists of discussion on modern drum corps. However, it's how quickly that they change from somewhat reasonable discussions on show design to crazy theories about the meaning behind certain design choices that makes them so interesting. For example, his rant on how feather props from the Cavaliers 2023 program were meant to represent phallic shapes. The thing about Jesu Spectre is that they have a completely different style of DCI hate than the average old school elitist. Their criticisms come with large and often really detailed breakdowns of why certain core show designs fail. And many times they're quite profound and touch at the larger failings of a show design. But at other points, it's like someone made an idea up and then ran away as if the idea was fact. And it's not only DCI hate. There are times when they describe modern shows they love and why as well. It's hard to say who Jesu Spector is, but they do claim to be a designer in the activity. I theorize that it's someone older and consistently involved with drum corps in the activity in the past as well, because the way they post and type does remind me of the RAMD discussions that I've read on that page. We may never know who Jesu Spector is. West Coast versus East Coast. West Coast and East Coast drum corps have many weird differences that come with the fact that they evolved separately. One example is the use of the term BIS and AIS, although that one varies more corps to corps in all regions. Generally, I have heard that West Coast has a more relaxed rehearsal schedule and tour life, while corps on the East Coast have more militaristic cultures. Language is probably the biggest thing that is different, I find, between West Coast and East Coast drum corps. On the West Coast, we say save a life, and on the East Coast, they say danger bay when referencing open bus bays. But technique is also different too. Even down to the way percussionists play on their instruments can vary based on region. There are very many minor nuances and differences that occur based on region, and I think that members definitely notice when meeting members from other corps across the country. Blue Stars Anime Show. In 2004, the Blue Stars had a show with only arrangements of music from various animes. Anime wasn't obscure, but it definitely wasn't as popular and mainstream as it is today. I put this into the Iceberg because people always seem to freak out when the Blue Devils have an anime song in their source music, but obviously they weren't the first to do it, even with Blue Stars playing Tank in their 2004 show. If you feel like listening to drum corps arrangements of anime music, check out Blue Stars in 2004. 42 Buckaroos. 42 Buckaroos is the fictional drum corps referenced by members of Facebook drum corps discussion groups. Typically, this corps is used to joke about those who claim to have marched drum corps but haven't. It is a slightly obscure term, but one that is used commonly in groups largely consisting of drum corps alumni. African finger snapping. African finger snapping is this. African finger snapping is a real way of snapping originating from Africa, but in this context, it refers to the use of the snapping technique by members to show their agreement or pleasure with something. It is becoming popular outside of drum corps as well, but it is also commonly used by corps members who learn to snap in that way. Jean Elizabeth Joseph. Jean Elizabeth Joseph was a woman beloved by many drum corps members. Her house was in the neighborhood next to the show site for the Rome, New York show. This is a show known for corps being forced to warm up in the neighborhood and on people's front yards due to lack of lot space. Many neighbors in the area were very happy to have free shows in their front yard, Jean being among them. Jean was an elderly woman who could not make it to the show site due to health reasons, so drum corps decided to bring the show to her, most notably Pacific Crest. After shows in Rome, New York, many corps would walk from the show site after their performance to her house to make a performance in her front yard. Pacific Crest made it a tradition to do this every single time they performed in New York since 2010. Unfortunately, Jean passed away at the age of 101 in 2021.
At the porch, and all of a sudden I see them one by one come up on the porch, and that did it for me. It killed me. I was crying so hard, I didn't give a hoot what I looked like. When they leave, it's just like a sad, it's like when you have company and they go away. And then I'd be going, and wiping my eyes, and my husband would say, you miss them, I miss them. Every one of them. They're so straight and beautiful.
No missile-like objects. If you've ever been to Lucas Oil Stadium for finals, you may remember the welcome announcement played on repeat at all of the entrances. During this, you hear a list of items that are not permitted inside of the stadium, last of which being missile-like objects. My question, what does this mean? What exactly is a missile-like object? We may never know.
Backpacks full of missile-like objects are not permitted in the stadium. Please return such items to your vehicle.
What's Squincher? I don't remember the exact year. I believe it was 2018 or 2019. DCI held a live stream to give a seminar about safety and wellness on tour. While every corps was watching at their respective spring training location, The seminar was happening live at the Bluecoats' spring training site where the members were sitting in the audience. There were many weird things that happened during the seminar. For example, Dan Atchison called himself a slithery snake, making reference to the way that he walked onto stage. But most notably was the What's Squincher incident. See, Squincher, if you don't know, is a Gatorade powder alternative that most corps use to fill up their 5-gallon water jugs with some type of sports drink for members to drink. The health specialist that was speaking during the seminar made a reference to using Gatorade as a way to stay hydrated during rehearsal and tour. When that happened, one Bluecoats member asked, "What about Squincher?" The health specialist then asked, "What's Squincher?" And everybody in the Bluecoats audience and people watching across the country laughed. There are many memes made about this whole situation, but to me it's funny because I, and most others that I've met, prefer Squincher over Gatorade. But you never see Squincher outside of a drum corps setting. It's like they have a monopoly on drum corps hydration. Chuck Taylors. The Velvet Knights, which is a now defunct drum corps, was known for many things. Their funny shows, the way they presented themselves at retreat, as we've seen, but one thing that sticks out is their uniform. The corps was known for wearing their red Chuck Taylors and baseball caps as a part of their uniform. The shoe that would lead most members to probably get in trouble for even wearing during a rehearsal. I personally wouldn't want to wear that kind of shoe while marching, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that the shoes were a part of the corps identity, and no corps could wear them nowadays without being linked to the late but great Velvet Knights. Overage members. While nowadays most recent alumni can recall having to send copies of their ID to both the corps they marched at and DCI, there were times when some overage members snuck through the system and marched past their age-out year. One of the most notable in my mind was the members that were caught marching overage at Santa Clara Vanguard in 1989. The conspiracy starts with the corps having accepted 2 members from the United Kingdom. The members had passports denoting their age and traveled on tour with the corps up until finals week where they were caught. When they were caught, the members were kicked off of Vanguard's tour. And because Vanguard wasn't aware of the situation and took the proper steps as soon as they were aware, they were not disqualified or penalized. Unfortunately, the members that got caught weren't so lucky. The members had provided the corps with fake passports and were reported to the authorities because providing fake passports is an international felony. Arby's really likes DCI for some reason. Arby's has a history of posting stuff on their social media around important marching arts competitions. For DCI, it's finals, and as far as I could find, Arby's has a history of posting about DCI since 2016. In 2016, they posted a stop-motion video of sauce cups marching drill to form different corps logos. In 2017, they posted a picture of marching shoes, making reference to the age-out tradition of leaving shoes on the field after finals. In 2018, they posted a picture of a corps necklace featuring multiple corps medallions, even getting the tradition of using paracord right. As you can see, I also have my corps medallion with paracord. And in 2019, they posted a picture of a drill sheet with the Arby's logo mentioning DCI and asking if anybody would put it on the field. This led to a comment by Spirit of Atlanta that said they would do it if they received the Arby's hats. Arby's replied that they would oblige and did in fact send 150 to Spirit of Atlanta while they were on tour. Spirit of Atlanta then posted a video of them marching the Arby's logo into the Spirit of Atlanta logo. All of the tweets mentioned happened on the same day. So the crazy part about this to me is not only did Arby's send his hats to Spirit of Atlanta, but had gone out of their way to preemptively plan a marketing campaign with that drum corps. BD was framed 2008. In 2008, Phantom Regiment finished the season with an insane come-from-behind victory on finals night, bumping the Blue Devils from first place down to second place. Now, at the end of the night, after the scores were announced, all 12 corps were to play America the Beautiful at the same time. This was known as Mass Brass. However, in the videos of the Mass Brass performance, there can be some trumpet players being heard screaming and overall not playing with the ensemble. Originally, many believed that this was the Blue Devils being sore losers losing to Phantom that night. However, another video clearly shows that it was not the Blue Devils trumpet section that was doing that, but actually the Blue Knights. Happy Birthday Song. This is another really weird tradition that's spread among some corps and has evolved from the singing of the national anthem. Instead of singing the Happy Birthday Song as is, members would sing only the lyrics Happy Birthday to You to the tune of the national anthem. For example, Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. And they go through the entire national anthem song just singing the words Happy Birthday to You. This would probably happen every single time somebody had a birthday on tour. Boston Copy Pasta. The Boston Copy Pasta originated as a Reddit post about someone's reaction to Boston's 2018 show Early Season. I'll do my best to read it in a dramatic fashion. I saw Boston at their Florida camp today, and my god. Oh, sure, they were pretty damn good last year. 12th to 6th is surely no joke. But this, what I saw today, this is now something entirely different. This is something that I've seen before. I've seen it, and I recognize it as sure as I know my own face. I cannot mistake this feeling for anything other than what it most assuredly is. It is something I saw and felt back in 2012 with Crown. I saw and felt it again in 14 with Tilt. And this thing is a Super Saiyan. That's the only way I can explain it. Those cores in those years took an invisible step that upped their power level that they had never achieved before. Maybe they didn't win it all, but that was not why we remember those shows. We remember because they had crossed some invisible line, and the ultimate result was that of something inevitable. Even if it took another season, even if it took 2, their path was set. Boston has crossed that line. It's not even about where they place this year, it's about putting everyone else, the fans, DCI, and the top 3 on notice. They know how to go Super Saiyan now, and they are coming. We've had some cores do dark shows. We've had cores do artsy shows. We've had clever and minimalist and Fellini-esque and psychedelic and you name it shows. Prepare for angry. Animal Farm in comparison was just sarcastic with a touch of upset. Wicked Games was dark with a touch of brooding. What is coming this year is controlled and brutal anger. I know it because even Gino was surprised enough to raise an eyebrow and say aloud, "These kids are very good at doing angry." Anyways, I'm calling it now. Top 4. They'll fight it out with someone, possibly Cavs. Here's the Shyamalan plot twist though. It's entirely too early to tell, of course, but if they keep ramping up their power level at the same rate, they may very well leave 4th in their wake. There, I said it. There's a definite possibility that despite all I just said and predicted, that I might be underestimating them. The post quickly became a copy pasta and meme with multiple variations of it spreading, all of them generally poking fun at the fans and members who seriously overhype their shows. The Trenches. Caballero's murder case. In 1960, a cadets member was spending the night at the apartment of a then admin member of the Hawthorne Caballeros, as the two were apparently good friends. That night, the assistant director went to multiple bars while the cadets member was on a date, as the two had swapped cars for the night. When the assistant director awoke the next morning, he reportedly found the cadets member shot, dead, and a gun. While he did turn himself in, he told police that he did not remember anything that had happened while at his apartment. Allegedly, the assistant corps director was in prison until 1968, and when released, returned to the Hawthorne Caballeros as an assistant director until the corps folded in 1977. Blue Devils Stairs and Ladders Curse. There's a weird joke that has been going around probably since 2019 regarding the connection between the Blue Devils props and their championships. It's obviously satirical, but it's funny that the theory largely holds up to the current day. The theory goes as follows. 2013, no stairs and ladders, 2nd place. 2014, has ladders, 1st place. 2015, has ladders and stairs, first place. 2016, no stairs, no ladders, second place. 2017, has stairs, first place. 2018, no stairs or ladders, second place. 2019, has ladders, first place. 2022, has stairs, first place. Well, it is important to note that their props that have the SpongeBob Skyflower looking designs have stairs built into them, 100% proving that they will win this season. This is an absolutely errorless theory and guarantees the Blue Devils victory. That post was made in 2023 before the season ended. Obviously, the Blue Devils did in fact win 2023, so the theory still holds up to the day. Like I said, it's a hysterical joke, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that I would be looking out for Blue Devils' props this upcoming season. Whitewater Wipeout. In 1984, the cadets had a drill move which they pulled off at the end of their show called a Z-pull. However, at the end of their show, a 15-year-old member fell, which led to 8 other members toppling over them. Thankfully, there were no big injuries as a result of the accident. The reason this is on the Iceberg is because, in a way, this is a form of lost media. There are only a few forms of media that prove that the event actually happened. Of those, we have a page in a magazine, a few pictures, and a judge tape.
Watch out. Oh my God. Sorry, Garfield. Hope everybody's okay.
To this day, many have searched for a video of what is referred to as the Whitewater Wipeout, but none have ever been found. Drum Corps World Capital. The world capital of Drum Corps is Racine, Wisconsin. Well, you might be wondering, who decided that? Well, the United States Congress in 1977. That's who. Racine was known for its history in the early days of Drum Corps, as its very own drum corps was founded in 1921, known as the Legion Post 76 Drum and Bugle Corps. They set the standard that many other drum corps would come to follow. Racine even has a section of their Heritage Museum dedicated to Drum Corps, featuring uniforms and other Drum Corps memorabilia. Jeremy Seneca, Finals Retreat. In 2008, at Finals Retreat, Jeremy Seneca, a then Cavalier, took a picture posting in front of his girlfriend at the time, who was a cadet. He then played dead at the feet of the cadet, and a picture can be seen of George Hopkins speaking to the Cavalier, seemingly trying to get him to get up and get away from his corps while they were staying at standby. Jeremy Seneca is now a prominent instructor in the activity and was just recently the visual caption head for the Blue Knights. The two pictures were recently recreated by Corps members during the 2023 Finals Retreat. Cadets traditionally wears the West Point uniforms, and the Cavaliers wore a throwback uniform that year, which allowed the members the perfect setting to recreate the funny images. Snoop Dogg, Mandarins alumni. There is a joke made by the Mandarins alumni that Snoop Dogg marched Mandarins in the mid-90s. While most understand that it's a joke, some genuinely believe that it happened. Generally, the theory is that Snoop Dogg was a second mellophone in the 1993 Drum Corps. I have come to unequivocally disprove that that was the case. While the year itself may support the idea that Snoop Dogg could have aged out a Mandarins in 1993, the timeline simply does not. Before even releasing his debut album, Doggy Style, Snoop had been incarcerated multiple times, mostly on drug charges. In addition to that, Snoop Dogg had already been featured before rapping, making a guest appearance on Dr. Dre's single, Deep Cover. However, many Mandarins alumni still joke that Snoop Dogg was a Mandarin to this day, even going as far as photoshopping images like this to support their claim. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I did have a lot of fun researching the small fun facts to put together in such a large video. If you'd like me to do more icebergs with different fun facts, leave a comment down below and let me know what kind of things you would like to see on that next iceberg. If you liked the video, remember to like, subscribe, and press on that bell icon to be notified every time I post a video. See ya!